Freemasonry say they're not involved with the protocols. Somehow the protocols get stuck on everybody here, and nobody's really sure, but everything's sure of one thing. The Jews are in bed with the Freemasons, and both the Jews and the Freemasons refer to the elders of the protocols of Zion whenever they want to check the chart and see that the events of the day and of the age are going according to plan. And so there's this constant consultation and conspiracy, not just with the elders of Zion, but with the elders of Freemasonry. Okay? So that the Jews and the Freemasons are basically following the elders, the protocols of Zion, to make sure their plan of global domination is implemented. Okay, let's continue. Now, in his initial writing of the protocols, in a chapter called The Jewish Cemetery in Prague, this fantasy appears. The Council of Representatives, known as the 12 Tribes of Israel, or the Elders of Zion, spins off into a fantasy of secret centennial rabbinical conferences that meet at midnight once every 100 years, listen, whose purpose is to review the past 100 years and to make plans for the next century. So according to those who believe that the elders of the protocols of Zion is true, the Jews get together every 100 years to recount how things have went for the last 100 years and to plan the nefarious activities and how to control the globe over the next 100 years. And they meet in cemeteries in Prague, Czechoslovakia. That's where they meet, every 100 years. Okay?
It's a perfect place.
Now, the basic definition, if they knew anything about Judaism, an Orthodox Jew wouldn't step on a grave and wouldn't go to a cemetery. If they're the elders of Zion and they step on a grave, according to Torah, they're ceremoniously defiled. Why would any Orthodox Jew who wouldn't even touch food and touch a refrigerator and touch his living room sofa coming home from a cemetery before washing his hands ceremoniously so he'll be ceremoniously clean, walk on graves, meet other Jewish elders on graves, and plan the next 100 years of the world? It's all a plagiarized novel. The basis is a novel, and the plagiarism is anti-Semitism inserted in that novel. The novelist was put in jail for teaching conspiracy against the French. It had nothing to do with the Jews. And the plagiarer, Godchild, who wrote under the surname of Radcliffe, was put in jail and fired from his postal job for also creating fiction and also plagiarizing other works against the by the Russian secret police. Are we on? So you're not listening. Both the novelist and the plagiarizer both serve time in prison for dishonesty. And this is what anti-Semites, this is their Bible. This is what they believe in. That the Jews are part of the global Jewish conspiracy, and most Jews don't even know it exists. Just the elders know. Just the elders of Zion, they know. Even most Jews don't know. Okay, let's continue. Goldchild's plagiary of Joly's dialogues of hell in hell soon found its way to Russia. It was translated in Russian in 1872. A consolidation of the Council of Representatives under the name Rabbi Speech appeared in 1891. These works were furnished by the Russian secret police as a means to strengthen the position of weak Tsar Nicholas II and discredit the reforms of the liberals who sympathized with the Jews. During the Alfred Dreyfus case in France, 1893 to 1895, agents of the secret police in Paris redacted the earlier text of Joly and Gottschalk into a new edition called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. So there were 3 forgeries involved here. The novelist wrote a novel. What is a novel? Fiction, fairy tale. It's a made-up story. Then it was plagiarized by the German writing under the surname of Radcliffe, but that's not all. Agents of the Russian secret police got a hold of this document in 1895 in Paris, and to further the charges and the hate and the anti-Semitism against the French colonel who was wrongly charged of spying and being a traitor against the French military, Alfred Dreyfus, that sent Parisian French mob screaming down the streets of Paris, "Kill the Jews, kill the Jews, kill the Jews." He redacted it further and then formed it, the Russian secret police formed it into what today is known as the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. it went through 3 redactions. One novelist, 1 plagiarist, and 1 redactor. What is redaction by definition? Rewriting, re-editing, changing. What does it mean to redact? Changing. Rewriting. So if we redacted the Torah, we can turn it into the Quran. We can start out with the 5 books of Moshe, but if we redact the Torah enough, long enough, with enough lies, and how do you get people to believe lies? Very easy.
Make them big.
You make them bigger, you increase the frequency and the nefarious and the debauchery. You make them dirtier, more vicious, more alarming, and you repeat their frequency. And that's why Adolf Hitler, when he was following and believed in the elders of the Protocols of Zion, hired Joseph Goebbels to run his propaganda machine. He realized he would need all these lies repeated often enough. Does any of this make sense? So if I said to you, brothers and sisters, we're gathered here today in the name of our Messiah Yeshua. This word of Yahweh was written by a novelist who lived in the 1800s. Then it was plagiarized by a German Jew hater who wrote under a surname. And then finally in Paris, in the days of the Dreyfus Affair, it was redacted and re-edited to make it appear as if the Jews totally dominated the world and totally controlled the events and the movies and the cinema and the media and the airwaves and behind politics and the Democrats and the Republicans, and the Jews control the Freemasons, and the Freemasons are in bed with the Jews. So that, and I said, brothers and sisters, here is the word of Yahweh. You would say to me, Rabbi, that's not the word of Yahweh. That was originally written by a novelist, later plagiarized, later redacted. That's not the word of Yahweh. So if we redact, plagiarize, and novelize the word of Yahweh, we could turn it into a book to be sold at Barnes & Noble's called Alice in Wonderland. But it wasn't so wonderful. It wasn't Alice and it wasn't a Wonderland. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Anyway. Okay. Where are we here? So the manuscript of the Protocols was brought back to Russia from Paris in 1895 and printed in 1897. The Protocols did not become public again until 1905, when Russia's defeated the Russo-Japanese War was followed by the Russian Revolution in the same year, leading to the promulgation of a constitution and institution of the Duma. In the wake of these events, the Reactionary Union, or the Russian Nation, or Black Hundred organization sought to incite popular feelings against the Jews, who they blamed for the revolution, the Russian Revolution, and the Constitution. In other words, they were blaming the Jews for overthrowing the Tsars. You ever hear the idea that the Jews were behind the Bolshevik Revolution? Okay, well that's what they used the Protocols for. That the Jews were behind the Russian Revolution. The Protocols became part of a propaganda campaign that accompanied pogroms of 1905, inspired by the Russian secret police. A variant text of the Protocols was published by George Boutmy in 1906 and again 1907. The edition of 1906 was found among the Tsar's collection, even though he had already recognized the work as a forgery. Okay, now listen. The Tsar himself, who used the Protocols to claim that those who were trying to overthrow him were actually the elders of Zion, himself admitted that the work was a forgery. But that didn't stop the anti-Semites. That didn't stop the Jew haters. Baruch Hashem Yahweh anyway. Later, another Russian, Nilus, claimed, listen to this, that the Protocols of the Elders of Zion had been read in secret later at the First Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland in 1897. Who was famous for attending that, who came out of that conference as a famous person? Theodor Herzl. Theodor Herzl is called the founder of modern Zionism, correct? Those of you who know your history, Basel, Switzerland, 1897, the First Zionist Congress. They claim that that Congress got behind closed doors, pulled out a copy of the elders of the Protocols of Zion, went over their agenda, checked their agenda, renewed their agenda, and then pressed on to the modern movement of Zionism and the establishment of the State of Israel. Okay? Also, it was alleged that the elders of the Protocols of Zion and the Jews behind this world conspiracy, these Jewish globalists, were part of a larger Masonic conspiracy. So that in the minds of those who hate the Jews, the Masonic Lodge and the elders of Zion work hand in glove. They work together. Okay? Now, in the Civil War, following the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, the reactionary white armies, made extensive use of the protocols of the elders of Zion to incite widespread slaughter of Jews. At the same time, Russian immigrants brought the protocols into Western Europe, where they served as the basis for many translations, starting in 1920. Just after its appearance in London in 1920, Lucian Wolff exposed the protocols as a plagiary of an earlier work of Joly and Gottschalk, the German anti-Semite, in a pamphlet of the Jewish Board of Deputies. The following year, now this is very important, the following year, pay attention please, thank you. The following year, 1921, the story of the forgery was published in a series of articles in the London Times by Philip Grave, the paper's correspondent in Constantinople. A whole book documenting the forgery was published in the same year in America by Herman Bernstein. Nevertheless, the protocols continued to circulate widely. Okay, now I'm going to backtrack for a second. Okay. These are some of the things that they accuse the protocols of being. Ready? The threat of Purim remains. As long as this document is in circulation, the threat of Purim remains. Because there's a Haman, there's an Agagite, there's an Amalekite, there's a Jew hater that is ready to take this gauntlet and run with it and accept it as truth, when it's been exposed by the Tsar Nicholas as a lie, by Philip Graves of the London Times as a lie, and later by two world courts as a forgery. We'll talk more about that in a second. The protocols, allegedly, set forth minutes. What are minutes? Records of meetings, of 24 secret sessions of the innermost circle of the rulers of Zion. These fictitious minutes are laid down as 24 protocols, or master plans, to enslave the world by the most dastardly, unscrupulous methods imaginable. Here are a few examples of what's in the protocols. You can get a copy of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion online. All you have to do is go online and you can get a copy. Here's what they claim, those who hate the Jews claim that the Jews are up to behind the scenes in cemeteries. And these are the original minutes of the leaders of Zion getting together and arranging their global conspiracy. Here are the minutes, allegedly, the minutes of these Jewish leaders getting together. Number one, just to give you a few examples, and it's not the whole thing by any means. Protocol 1, Article 12. Our right, allegedly these are the elders of Zion getting together, planning to control the world. Our right lies in force. The word right is an abstract thought and proved by nothing. The word means no more than give me what I want in order that I thereby I may have proof that I am stronger than you. Protocol 1, Article 12. Protocol 2, Article 2. The administrators whom we shall choose from among the public, with strict regard to their capacities for servile obedience, will not be persons trained in the arts of government, and will therefore easily become pawns in our game in the hands of men of learning and genius who will be their advisors, specially bred and reared from early childhood to rule the affairs of the whole world on our behalf. So Protocol 2, Article 2 says the Jews choose babies who are reared from birth, special chosen people who are going to be in charge of the world's affairs and help the Jews run the world. And these are individuals who are not partisan to government or politics. They are specially chosen and reared by the Jews themselves to run the world on the behest of the Jews. Protocol 2, Article 2. So protocol is a list of minutes. Allegedly, this meeting took place somewhere. But the problem is, this original meeting was a meeting between Machiavelli and Montesquieu in conversations that originally took place between two fictitious characters in hell by a novelist. So they twisted this. Gottschalk, the German anti-Semite, twisted this and made this a record of a meeting that allegedly took place somewhere in the late 1800s. So he plagiarized, not the New York Times, not the encyclopedia, he plagiarized a novel that was fictitious, whose author was put in jail for sowing seeds of discord against the French government. And the Tsar himself, who rewrote the pamphlet in the 3rd edition to hold power against the Jewish Bolsheviks who were trying to overthrow the Tsar in 1917, himself later admitted that it was a forgery, and he used it as part of the tactics of the secret police to keep those who wanted to overthrow him out of office. The one whose secret police perpetrated and redacted it for the 3rd time, later admitted it was a forgery. Henry Ford, who used the protocols to write his book, later admitted it was a forgery, and he asked the Jewish people to forgive him. And I have that quote somewhere else if you're interested. But for years, he was publishing it in a Dearborn, Michigan newspaper, week after week after week, excerpts from the protocol. The damage had already been done. Okay, let's continue. Protocol 5, Article 10. These allegedly are the minutes of that meeting where the Jews put this global conspiracy together. In order to put public opinion into our hands, listen, we must bring it into a state of bewilderment by giving expression from all sides to many contradictory opinions for such length of time as will suffice to make the Goyim, Gentiles, lose their heads in a labyrinth of confusion, so that they see that the best thing is to have no opinion of any kind, in any matter, political or otherwise, which is not given to the public to understand, because they are understood only by him who guides the public. This is the first secret, Protocol 5, Article 10, meaning that the Jews decided to raise up different parties, different sides of each issue, many diverse views, many diverse opinions on abortion, 10 opinions. On presidential politics, 15 opinions. On global warming and the environment, 35 opinions. But they're all promoted and propagated by the Jews. The Jews are the authors of all 35 opinions. Why? To keep the Goyim stupid, to keep them guessing, to keep them dumb, and to make them come to the realization that they need a master, and the Jews are the master, and we will now control you because you've now finally come to the realization that with all these conflicting views that sets nations against nations, parties against parties, politicians against, since the Jews are stirring up this trouble and pitting these parties one against another, the stupid Gentile, i.e. non-Jews, will finally give up and say, oh God, I need the Jews to help me. That's what the alleged protocols teach. You get this? And so you'll get this a lot from those who believe in the veracity of the document of the elders of the protocol of the elders of Zion. They'll say, don't you know that all the politics are controlled by the Jews? Democrat, Republican, Independent, even Ralph Nader is beholden to the Jews. So it doesn't matter what you vote for, because in 100 years they're going to get together in the cemetery and they're going to go over every election. And every election is already chosen by the Jews. Clinton, Bush, Nader, Kerry, it doesn't matter. They're all Jewish pawns, and they're being played out in this one world global conspiracy. And P.S., the Jews are in bed with the Masons. Isn't that funny? The capitalists say the Jews are socialists. The socialists say the Jews are capitalists. The Democrats say the Jews are running the Republicans. The Republicans say the Jews are running the Democrats. And those who believe in the protocols of the elders of Zion says the Jews run everything. Isn't it funny? Well, wait a second. If Republicans are against the Democrats, and the Jews run the Democrats and the Republicans, well, now they're running against each other. Right. See, and that's one of the protocols. That all this, in other words, the idea is to create debate and disagreement and controversy on every issue. So that someone who believes in the protocols of the elders of Zion will say that Mel Gibson's film and all the controversy, if it's anti-Semitic, not anti-Semitic, is all controlled by the elders of Zion and by the protocols. It's not really about is it a good film or is it a bad film. It's really controlled by the authors of the protocols. And they're creating all this controversy because the Jews control every ticket. Everybody that buys a ticket to go into the movie theater, the Jews get a piece of it. Laugh. I'll cry, you laugh. Another article, Protocol 7, Article 5. The press, this is according to the elders of Zion, which with a few exceptions may be disregarded, is already entirely in our hands. Protocol 7, Article 5. The press, with few exceptions, is already in our hands. Okay, that's just a few of the protocols in the protocols. But it got worse than that. And by the way, this document is still the favorite of hate groups. I don't care if they're white, I don't care if they're Christian identity, I don't care if they're what their problem is. You know something? They say they're not anti-Semitic, but if you believe that the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is a legitimate document that wasn't forged, that wasn't plagiarized, you have anti-Semitic issues that you need to deal with, and you better deal with them quickly, and you need to deal with them by the blood of Yeshua. By the blood of Yeshua, you need to get it right and come out of denial. Because there are Christians who believe this. They may be well-meaning, but they're sowing the seeds of the next Holocaust. Now we continue. We continue. I'm not going to ask you if you're enjoying this, but are you getting this? I'm not expecting you to enjoy it. I'm expecting you to learn from it and to educate. The best protection against hate is education. When you sit next to a black person in a classroom, and your mom and dad told you to hate them, and you share lunch with them, and you give them their Twinkies, and they give you their tuna fish sandwich, you realize that they're not bad people. And then mom was wrong, and grandma was wrong. How do you overcome hate? Education. Literacy. Now, we discussed some of this already, and no need to rehash that.